Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Light Chronicles. Welcome, Tass. I'm here with Donald and Rob.
Hey,
We are getting closer and closer to pitches and catches, and we still have a little bit of a divide on how fans are feeling about the pitching staff, and it really leads to wonder, like, what are the Yankees going to do? Are they going to pull off a small move? Is there still a big move up their sleeve? Or are they just going to ride with what they got? I think those are the three options that we're at right now. And I don't know what the right answer is. I really don't. I want to feel confident with the guys that we have. We have a history of our bullpen surprising us and really being legitimate when used properly. So it's really going to come down to how Boone manages the pitching staff along with Matt Blake. And that even adds a bigger question mark around the whole situation, because we don't trust Boone when it comes to in-game moves. We really don't. So what is the best option for the Yankees when it comes to making sure that they give themselves the best opportunity to win, to be in or win every game?
Sign a lot of really good players.
Well, there you go. Problem solved. The Yankees went over the threshold, and we didn't expect it. We didn't see it coming, but we still. I still, as much as I don't want to destroy Holmes, he's not a closer.
Yeah, I could do that for you.
No, I know you can. Is he? Look, and it's not that he sucks as a reliever or a closer. He has too many mental lapses and too much lack of control in high pressure innings. And he has us too much on the edge of our seat. And I would really like to have one more guy added to the bullpen that's sustainable. I brought it up last night, and I'm going to throw this name to you guys. And that's Devin Williams from Milwaukee. Now that they've moved on from Burns, are the Yankees able to make a trade for him and put a little more comfortable, I guess, make us more comfortable with the bullpen positioning?
What are you giving up for him, though?
I would give up. Who's that big? I would say it would have to be, because we also want to move some salary around, right? Because we still need another star. I still want to try to get Snell. I don't want to close the door on that. It would be, maybe you can move like Cortez, who's not making a lot of money, but it's still, I think that if you move Cortez to give them more pitching, maybe a Marinaccio or a Loaizaga and a prospect, you might be able to get him. So at least you're not depleting their system, but we're improving ours. Somewhere in that range of type of players. How do you feel about that?
I think we have some names that are movable. I do agree that Cortez is someone that should be considered to be moved. Like, move that salary, and that would make things a little easier for us to take on more salary. I would not dismiss that. Another person in our minor league system who is kind of expendable right now is Emerson Pereira, because we have so many outfielders. And when you include Gibson Dominguez, Spencer Jones, although I have a feeling that Spencer Jones might be considered for first base down the future if the Yankees want to keep him. But even still, we have so many outfielders. I don't see a pathway for Pereira anytime soon or in the near future So I would consider trading him. And, if we've got Peraza, then it kind of makes Oswaldo Cabrera expendable too. Um, so I would say names off the top of my head: Everson Pereira, and Oswaldo Cabrera, as well as Cortez, I think are names that could be expendable given the right opportunity. I'm not saying giving them away for nothing or anything like that, not remotely like that, because they're very good. I'm just saying if you want to upgrade, those are names that kind of jump off the page that could be considered as expendable, considering there's not really a pathway for them. I mean, Oswaldo Cabrera, he's what's great about him is he can play every single position well. There's not really a position that he plays particularly badly, which is amazing. He can play third, short, and pretty much all outfield spots. So I mean that's really useful. It's just if we've got Peraza and we're keeping Gleyber Torres, then I'm not really sure if there's a pathway for him. Otherwise, the elephant in the room is move on from Gleyber, because again, do you want to let him go for nothing? Because I don't see a situation where we're going to pay him over $100 million to extend him, especially if we're going to extend Soto. Please extend Soto. So again, those are the kind of questions that need to be answered. But I mean, those opportunities right there could free up some money for us to go and make a run at a Blake Snell or a good closer. And I agree with you, Uncle T. We need to add one or the other, if not both. Certainly one or the other. And I think that would be really important. Stevie B, let's pick up on what Stevie B's got to say here. I think the Yankees' offense is a lot better, and the pitching will be good. I agree. And add to it during the offseason. Well, it is the offseason, but maybe you mean mid-season. We can always get a closer at the deadline. Some team will tank, sell off assets, and could capitalize. Yeah, but again, we're talking about hypotheticals. You can't predict. You can't predict anything, man. Remember, that's kind of the situation the Yankees were in last year. They're like, oh, well, we need a left fielder, but we'll be fine. There'll be a team that'll tank and give us a left fielder at the deadline. We'll be fine. We'll be there. And we weren't there. And there was no one that would and we thought that maybe Bellinger would be available, and he wasn't. So that's the thing. So you can't predict these things, man. You really can't. I didn't predict. I don't think anyone in baseball would have predicted that Reynolds would have re-signed for the Pirates, considering he rejected their original offer, said he wanted to leave, and in the end he extended with the Pirates. So again, you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. So you might as well make the moves that you can now, while you know that the Yankees have a little bit of leverage. Because, by the way, in mid-season, if the Yankees are desperately in need of a closer, it takes away your leverage and the price goes up for that particular player. If that team knows that you're in desperation for that position, look at the Yankees for the last couple of years needing a left fielder. The price to get those left fielders were through the roof. So, again, I'm not really an advocate for just waiting, because there's too many variables and too many hypotheticals. And again, it takes away our leverage. We have still got a bit of leverage right now if we wanted to make a move, because we're not in total desperation at all. And that's a good position to be in if you're Brian Cashman, to upgrade. But if he was to wait to mid-season and, where you're short of a starter and Holmes clearly can't close, then the Yankees are up against it, because teams will know that and then charge the roof for it. Charge your house and roof and everything to get it. So that's what I'm talking about, man. You guys got to be smart. We have to be smart about these things. And I think the time to do it is now.
Yeah, just for argument's sake, Devin Williams, he's not a free agent until 2026, so you still get some control. He's got a career ERA of 1.89.
Beautiful.
He's 29 years old, so he got a late start in his major league career. to have that much control left. I don't think it would cost us. I don't think it's going to be as expensive as some other arms that may be on the market. So I think the only thing that he would have value in is obviously his statistics speak for themselves. But at the age 29, it's not like you're going to, there's a long-term commitment.
That's exactly why his price would be high. 2 years of control from a really good relief pitcher.
Yeah.
We've seen what relief pitchers are getting paid right now, so the price is going to be high. Everyone we know the Brewers didn't get a ton in return for Burns, but Devin Williams is one of the best relief pitchers, one of the best closers in baseball. It's not going to be here's a Cortez and a Marinaccio and call it a day. It could be Pereira. They could ask for Spencer Jones for him, because they didn't like our prospects for Burns. What makes you think they're going to like them now for Devin Williams? So the price is still going to be high. That's why I think the best route is to call Seattle or Miami, because they have an abundance of bullpen arms and starters. And we match up with those teams because, again, they still need infielders, or the Marlins more than ever need infielders. And so does Seattle. And Seattle just ended up getting Santos from the White Sox. So they have more bullpen arms. So they might be looking to move somebody. So I don't think they're going to make a big splash trade right now for a closer, because really the only one that could be available is Williams. And if the Brewers do move him, the price is going to be high. Because, again, they don't like our prospects very much. Clearly, if they took only Hall and Ortiz and a pick from Baltimore, they would have asked for more from us. So it might be those same names they were asking for Burns, or maybe one player less. So they might start the conversation with Spencer Jones again, and the Yankees hang up. They're not going to give up an Oswaldo Cabrera for one of the best closers in baseball. I'm sorry. I like Cabrera. I think he's got some value, but he wasn't very good last year. So teams are not going to be like, yeah, let's take him. Oswald Peraza, the Yankees have not given him a chance to really showcase what he can do. And when he did play, he wasn't great last year. So his value did dip a little bit. You're not going to be able to move him for an elite pitcher. It's going to take him plus maybe 2 or 3 other players. So, yeah, and Joan, they wanted Arias, they wanted Lelani, they wanted they wanted a lot.
What, for Burns?
Yeah, they wanted
a lot. And that's what they took from what? Wait, and that's what they took from Baltimore? See, that's why I said there's a Yankee tax again.
It's not a Yankee tax thing. It's just that they really like DL Hall. We don't have a DL Hall in our system right now. We don't have one. That's a lefty that has a lot of upside, has major league experience. We don't have that. The closest thing we have is Chase Hampton, who's a double-A right-handed pitcher. Clark Schmidt isn't a DL Hall. He's just the only guy has control and is kind of young that has experience, but he wasn't that good. So for whatever reason, they love DL Hall.
Yeah, but exactly for whatever reason. I mean, wasn't he only rated like the number 26 prospect in baseball?
In all of baseball, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
wasn't he? Where was he? Where was he ranked? It wasn't that like mind blowing.
I don't know exactly where he was ranked. I'm just saying that they really liked him. They like Ortiz to play third base for them, and the fact that they took a pick back. I said this the other day. They would have probably wanted a 3rd or 4th prospect from us just to get a guy like Corbin Burns. So the same names they wanted from us are probably on the table for Devin Williams. It might not take 4 players, but again, this is 2 years of an elite closer. It could take 3 or 4 pieces to get him. And it's not going to be some throw-in names. One of those names is going to really hurt. So whether it's an Arias or a Henry Lelani or a Spencer Jones, do you want to part with them for a relief pitcher? I don't know. I don't think the Yankees do it because they don't want to move Spencer Jones. So the conversations may end right there. Now, you can give them quantity over quality, but then you're talking about giving away maybe 5 or so players for one relief pitcher. That's a tough.
I'm not a fan
of. That's a tough asking price. So, again, if they even decide to move him, because they could still win that Central, even though they gave away Burns, they can still go win the Central because that division's wide open. And they don't really need outfielders because they have that kid Chirios who they extended at 19 years old. He's not even up yet. Garrett Mitchell's still there. They're still paying Christian Yelich. So they have outfielders. Maybe that's why they didn't want Jones so much, or that's why they were asking for so much, because we don't really have what they needed outside of a Peraza or an Arias who's not ready yet. Ortiz is ready. Hall is ready. So they got pieces that are young, controllable, and ready to play for a rental in Burns, who they weren't going to extend. So it kind of made sense for them. I still think they should have got more, but hey, whatever the Brewers wanted to do, they're going to go do. I'm just trying to look at this realistically. I love Devin Williams, but I don't love the price it would cost to get him, because you're talking about 3-4 pieces that are going to be a big part of our future, hopefully, for 2 years of a relief pitcher, when the Yankees' biggest strength is taking guys. Look at the 2 guys that people are complaining left in free agency, Middleton and Wandy. They're perfect examples of how the Yankee pitching factory works. We took Wandy Peralta of a 5 ERA and turned him into a guy that got 4 years at 32, 33 years old. And Middleton just got $5 million for having a good half a season with us. So, I mean, we can turn somebody. Are they going to be an elite closer? I don't know, but the price it's going to take to get a Clase or Devin Williams is going to be very high, because the relief pitching market is booming right now. So if you can get a really good relief pitcher for a lower salary, it's going to cost you the prospects. And I don't know if the Yankees want to continue to deplete their system already more than they already have, when they're so good at developing relief pitchers. I agree. I would love an actual closer, but tell me who's out there that's attainable, realistically attainable to be the closer. You might have to wait to the deadline for that.
So just to clarify, DL Hall. So when I said 26, it was 47, 2020. He was rated as the 47th prospect in baseball back in 2020, but is down to 75. Pre-2023, ranked 75th by Baseball America. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's hardly like a mind-blowing arm. They got a steal. They got a complete steal. And I'm shocked that they don't consider Chase Hampton or whatever to be comparable. But I do agree that considering he had MLB experience, then I guess it's put him over the edge. But at the same time, you know, when I talked about Oswaldo Cabrera, I wouldn't dismiss him either, because in his rookie year, he was great. Like, he raked for us in his rookie year. But he struggled last year. He did struggle last year, but sometimes that's associated with a sophomore slump. And also it was associated with the fact that our hitting coach just didn't work. He was malfunctioning. Our hitting coach was malfunctioning, and it took Sean Casey to come in, because once Casey came in, then people started to play better. And once we gave Oswaldo Cabrera a larger leash, same with Peraza, more regular at bats, their bats started to come around, and then they started to get a little bit more consistent. You saw that Cabrera actually played pretty well down the stretch in the last couple of weeks of the year. So that's why with these prospects, you can't just give them a short leash. You can't just give them like 4 at bats and be like, "All right, I'm done. Thanks." You know, you got to give them a stretch of games in order to get in a rhythm and not feel the pressure that every out they make is going to make them a AAA candidate. So the reason why I'm talking about this is, you know, there's a chance that they should have some value. Now, the Yankees have made their decision. They're going all in, right? So if you're making that decision to go all in, they probably don't have time to develop prospects over a long-term period, like an Oswaldo Cabrera or whatever. So it makes sense to check what value he has and see if there's an arm, controllable arm that has good stuff that can walk into our 5th or 4th starter role, and I'd be delighted. Anything like that, and we'd be so much infinitely better. The way I view it is, if you upgrade the starting rotation, it takes less and puts less pressure on our bullpen. We have a lot of bullpen arms. We listed in the last podcast. We've got like 30, right? But there's only a couple that we know for sure is gonna be reliable, and that includes Holmes. Even though I don't like Holmes, he's one of our better arms. So for me, if we upgrade our starting rotation, it puts less of a burden on our bullpen, and I think we'll be okay with what we've got. But if we don't, and we keep Nestor Cortez and Clark Schmidt at the back end of our rotation, and then mix in Weaver, then there's going to be more of a strain on our bullpen. And that's where I would look to upgrade our bullpen in that case, because we want some reliability. Again, we're going all in, guys. So if we're going to go all in, you got to speculate to accumulate. And I know we're already over that luxury tax threshold, but listen, this is our shot. This is our shot. And there's some real competition from Baltimore. So you got to speculate to accumulate, in my opinion. So I think we need to make another move.
No, there's definitely another move. I still think there's another move that has to be made. And it has to be either a starting pitcher or a reliever. And if they get one or the other, it doesn't necessarily have to be both. If you're able to strengthen your rotation, take the pressure off of the bullpen, I'm all for it. If it has to be, if we have to adjust the offer to Blake Snell to entice him over, okay. I'm not gonna, but I also, we're at that crossroads because of what we've already spent. How much more do we want to go over that threshold? Do we want to reserve some budget room for the trade deadline, the following offseason? Like, you don't want to lock everybody up right now. As far not so much with, I'm not talking about prospects, but on the free agent market, do we want to give long-term contracts to guys and further block any of these prospects that we're waiting to get a look at? You know what I mean? I just don't see where there's no clear-cut path to make those last improvements. It's got to be through the trades, and some of these trades are going to hurt.
That's why I think they have to go to Seattle or Miami, because if it's Chicago, it's going to cost a lot for Dylan Cease. It's gonna. I would love it, but it's going to cost you a lot. They're not going to drop their asking price for him. I wish they would, but they probably won't. Miami has arms. Seattle has arms. That's the best route you go if you're going to make an improvement, because the guys you can get from them, even if you made a big trade for Luzardo, he only cost $5 million this year. So that's pennies compared to what you'd have to pay Snell. And Luzardo's got a ton of upside. He's got 3 years of control. You might have to pay a lot to get him in prospects, but the Yankees love those years of control. They love to have it. And Luzardo's a guy that can be really good for us. Really, really good. There's upside there. We all know about the other name. I don't have to bring him up again because I brought him up 874 times during this offseason. But there's him as well. They have the bullpen arms. So I still feel like Miami's the best route to go. If you can swing a deal with them before spring gets going, then great. That'd be fantastic. And it wouldn't cost you barely anything to get 2 arms from Miami. Same goes for Seattle, because if they're looking to move a guy to sign Snell, because they still could potentially go out and bring him in, you could get a guy like Miller or Brian Wu from them and one of their bullpen arms. Tyler Saucedo is a lefty. I would like to have him. Yeah, there it is. There's the exact count. But I just feel like that's the best route to go, because the Yankees are not going to go spend another 25 that we know is going to double on the tax. We know how the luxury tax works. They're not going to do that unless they clear salary, and the only way to clear salary that's going to help you with the Snell contract is to move Glaber, but that hurts your offense that you spent so much to improve on. So, yeah, shut up, Brad. But yeah, I just think the best route is to go get one of those lower cost arms, and those 2 teams have them, and we can make a trade with one of those teams.
Yeah. Shut up, Brad. Hilarious. I agree with that, but I'm thinking here, 10 days until pitchers and catchers. What teams are really going to be willing to move their arms unless they're in complete rebuild mode? If they have half a shot at contending, like the Mariners, are they going to really give up one of their better arms 10 days before pitchers and catchers? At this stage in February, it's almost a little bit late. That's why I'm so shocked that the Corbin deal happened a couple of days ago, because Milwaukee didn't leave themselves any time to go and move on or whatever. They're kind of strapped, and that's why we're so late in the offseason. The only move I can see us making is actually Blake Snell, if any, because there's still a chance that between now and pitchers and catchers, knowing the pitchers are creatures of habit, knowing the pitchers don't want to sit out all of spring training, knowing these things, that there's maybe a chance that Blake Snell goes over to Boris, goes, right, dude, like, you need to sort something out here, man. Because I think that we all know that the original offer is off the table. That's done, right? Snell screwed that up. But there's still a shot that maybe he can convince Boris to accept a high AAV, low year kind of contract with an opt-out, kind of similar to Carlos Correa, that could have him re-enter the market either next year or the year after. There's still a chance of that. Now, do I think it's likely? No. But if that happens, then it would be crazy for Brian Cashman to turn that down. Absolutely, utterly crazy.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, so you'd have to consider that if that was to happen. And the reason why there's still a chance of that happening is because pitchers are creatures of habit. If you have Blake Snell sit out through pitchers and catchers in the spring, unsigned, then he's going to be playing catch up. And as you play catch up, you're not going to perform right out the gate, right? And that costs you money, and it really puts you on the back foot. You can't really do anything like that. Batters, yeah, you can live with it. But pitchers, no. They need pitchers and catchers. They need full off-season. They need a full spring training. They need to get ingratiated into the system, into the team, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm Blake Snell, I think it's madness that I'm sitting around here unemployed without a fucking job. Turning down 6 years from the New York Yankees is an embarrassment, and that's on him and Boris. But he can still turn this around and go to Boris going, right, let's just take a 3-year deal for $30 million a year with an opt-out after 2025, 2026, whatever, and let's get me a job, let's get me working. Because that's the only way I can see this happening. But as for anything else, I'm looking at the bullpen, and the fact that there's a lot of arms that have signed some very cheap deals elsewhere. It doesn't look like the Yankees are in on the bullpen market, in my opinion. It doesn't look like it. So, but what was interesting was I did listen to Aaron Boone on interviewed in Talking Yanks. Talking Yanks did that kind of a public thing, and Boone was there. And Boone did say, hopefully we add another bullpen arm. Now, he did say that. So that doesn't discount the idea that the Yankees are still in the market for something. And if your manager kind of wants you to add another arm, it should be seriously considered if you're the front office. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I've been picking up on.
Before we go any further, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Let's give a quick good morning to everybody that's coming into the chat since we started. Artie, how's everything going? So Elias snuck in there. Damien, how's you doing? We got so Jason's in the chat with us. We also have Empire State Tripod with us. Good morning, Empire State. Thanks for checking us out.
Happy Monday.
We got look. Do I think that is it realistic that the Yankees are going to get another, more free agents? Are they going to get Snell? It's not realistic. But the way I'm looking at it is until he's off the market, he's on the market. You know what I mean? Same thing with Monty. Same thing with Bellinger. These guys are still an option until they're not. And they're gonna have to get really creative. Okay, Empire State is Jason's football channel. Gotcha. Uh, my gut tells me that they're done. I don't want them to be done, but my gut tells me that. I don't think we're going to see any more adjustments until the trade deadline. I think they're going to ride with this. I think they do have a much more. The roster has much more of a competitive level than they did last year. So it's not like we're just rinsing and repeating with the same guys. Because sometimes that's what we've been doing the last couple of years is we'll add one or two pieces and then call it a day. The Yankees haven't done that. They've added arms. They're not the flashy arms, but they're still. What were you saying the other day, Rob? We had 2 or 3 new arms to the bullpen. We are getting back a healthier Rodon. We'll see how how it plays out on the mound. We don't have to worry about the injuries to Severino anymore. We don't have to deal with the nonsense from Herman anymore. Montas. So you're leaving a window for some of these other guys to get their chance. Does Warren get a shot? We're gonna see how he does in spring training. We also have Luis Gil coming back from an injury. Efros. We're gonna get a healthier season. I think we're gonna get a healthier. Who's the other guy? Marinaccio had a little bit of an injury. Where he kind of fell off a little bit.
Oh, big time.
So I think that. I don't want to say that we're a lock for anything, but I really think we're in a much better position than last year. What?
All 4 of those outs that got him $13 million. I mean, that's still insane to me. But the way I see it, a lot of people are going to tell you the Yankees have question marks, so many question marks in the rotation. Yeah. But tell me what team doesn't. Even the good teams, like maybe Seattle might be the only one that doesn't really have a question.
The Dodgers don't.
No, the Dodgers do.
Yeah, they do.
The Dodgers do. Their entire rotation's a question mark. Yamamoto hasn't pitched a single inning in the major leagues, and he's the highest paid pitcher of all time. Tyler Glasnow is hurt every single year. Not only did they trade for him, they extended him. James Paxton's hurt every single year. They had to give him less money because of another medical issue, but he's in their rotation. Bobby Miller, can he avoid the sophomore slump? Walker Buehler's coming back hurt. Gonzolin's hurt the entire year. Dustin May's coming back from injury mid-season. Their entire rotation's a question. Everyone's looking at the Dodgers. Ohtani's not even pitching. Their entire rotation is one giant question mark, and everyone's like, wow, the Dodgers had the greatest offseason of all time. Yet no one's talking about their rotation being a question mark. But when it comes to the Yankees, having to rely on Carlos Rodon, who you just paid last year, to bounce back is a big issue. What else do you want them to do? Cut them? Do you want them to cut every single player that had a bad year last year? So that means you got to cut Rizzo, you got to cut Stanton, you got to cut Cortez, you got to cut Peraza, you got to cut Cabrera. Judge got hurt, you got to cut him too, right? So what do you expect the Yankees to do? Not rely on their highly paid players to bounce back? They added, according to Fangraphs, they added 7 in WAR to their roster, the second most in baseball behind the Dodgers. So even if you take 7 wins, add it to last year, that's 89. Now you're going to take into account that you're going to have a healthy Aaron Judge, a hopefully healthy Carlos Rodon. That's worth another 10 wins potentially right there, just with those 2 guys alone. Let's not forget Anthony Rizzo is not going to be concussed this year. How important was he to this lineup before he got hit in the head? So a lot of things. Look, the Yankees have afforded themselves an opportunity to be patient, but there's no team in baseball that doesn't have a question mark on their roster. Unfortunately for the Yankees, it's happening with the injuries every single year. And I really think they need to overhaul the medical system, which they won't do, or overhaul it again. But they have to rely on these guys to come back because they don't have a choice. You can't tell me they can just move on from Rodon. Yeah, they tried to add Snell and Yamamoto, or one of those 2, just to kind of take a little pressure off of Rodon. But when they didn't get them, and made the move for Stroman, that added another arm, a really reliable arm, and now it has to be Rodon. Even if they made one of those signings, even if they got Yamamoto, it was still going to be on Rodon to pitch well because he's the key here. Yeah. If he was the number 2 or the number 3, if he's healthy and pitching like the guy he was 2 years ago, Yankees have nothing to worry about, but they have to rely on him. even if they signed one of those guys, they have to rely on him because you can't say if he pitches to like a 4.8 ERA, you're going to be okay with that at $27 million. No, he has to be good. And I think he'll be a lot better this year. How good will he be? I don't know, but they have to rely on that. Every team in baseball is going to rely at some point on one of their best players to come back and be healthy. The Braves got to rely on Chris Sale, who they just traded for. He's got to stay healthy for their rotation. They got to rely on a 40-year-old Charlie Morton to be healthy. The Astros have to rely on 41-year-old Verlander to stay healthy. You know, every team has something. The defending world champions don't have a pitching rotation right now outside of Evaldi. Like, they have a lot to worry about. So there's question marks all over baseball until you get to playing games. All we can do is just say, on paper or if healthy, I think this roster is really good, but the key is keeping them on the field. So whatever it takes to keep them on the field, that's what you got to do. But all we can do right now is just play that if healthy game or that on paper game. On paper, the Yankees have a good team. Is it World Series caliber? Time will tell. I think it's good enough.
That's one of my big questions. Now, there's north of between 40 and 50 people in the chat over the last few minutes. It's been fantastic. Hit that like button for us. I mean, it's such an honor that you guys want to share your time with three old dudes like us talking baseball. I mean, it really does mean the world to us and the growth of our channel and our little company, the Pinstripe Chronicles. So it would really mean the world if you guys hit the like button and share it out to everybody right now. Anyone that hasn't said hello yet, come and say hello. We're nice guys. We don't bite, unless you piss us off. It's really bad trade. Like LI. But no, we love you all. We love you all. So hit the like button. And we've got Terry Edwards. Hi, Terry. Snell coming soon, I hope. Oh, dude, I pray, man. That would be awesome. Joe Noel to me. So we do really appreciate it. 22 likes. Okay, so I think we can get a little bit more. Hit that like button for us. Good guys. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So I was watching NYYU last night, and shout out to Pete. He's an absolute goat. Hello, Oakley. Good to see you. And he asked a really good question. Is this a World Series caliber team as is, without any future move? Is this a World Series caliber team? Really good question, and it was really interesting. So why don't we ask the same question? I'll ask that to the panel, and I'll ask that to the chat.
No, I don't think it's a world. I think it's a playoff contending team. I think this is a team that should undoubtedly get to the playoffs. I just don't see. I don't. There's still too many question marks to just say, yeah, this is a lockdown World Series team. Yeah, I just don't. What's going to happen with Rodon? What's going to happen with, how is Soto going to do in New York? I think, as confident as we are and every right to be, I'm starting to pull back from putting the cart in front of the horse. I want to see him play a game before I'm like, all right, we have to lock this guy up. Like, I'm starting to get a little nervous about that because all the hype is around Soto. But I think with him and Judge together, I think is a phenomenal matchup. No, it's not. Yeah, now they can handle New York, but when they can't handle New York, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like what that, LI?
Go ahead, LI. Keep contradicting yourself, LI. You're a master at that.
The bullpen. How does the biggest question mark of them all? I said it at the beginning of the show. How does Aaron Boone manage? Does he put the analytics down and manage the way that he was a couple of years ago, where we had not one complaint about him?
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Spot on, man. That's exactly what I'm thinking here. Really, thanks for joining our family.
Yeah, welcome.
I don't want to. I don't want to get too overexcited about this season, but I'm feeling more positive than last year. I'll put it that way. I think that this is going to be one of those seasons where it's going to be neck and neck with Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore is going to run away with the division at all. I don't think that we're going to get beat by 19 games in the division. We're not finishing in fourth place. We're not going to go 82 and 80. I think this could easily be a 90-win team or more. Because of the additions of Soto, because of now having, and not saying Stroman's a world beater, but it does give you a little more of a solidified rotation. And what does Rodon do? I don't think Rodon's going to. If he's worse than last year, we're screwed. Because you can't get much worse. Are they going to limit the playing time because of now the outfield depth? Does that limit the playing time for Stanton? Where he's not striking out 5 times a game. Are they going to do the opposite and put him on the field more to keep him loose? That was one of the things that Boone had talked about. Wanted to inject Stanton into more of the everyday, situations, and keep the outfield very fluid. There's so many variables. It's hard to say it's a World Series team, but it's definitely a playoff team.
Yeah. Before we ask Rob, my thoughts are we're Texas and we're Arizona considered World Series caliber teams. I don't think even they would say so as at the start of last year. So with that caveat in mind, you can consider that. I have seen far stronger Yankee teams going into the regular season through the noughties. Basically, I read it out. I mean, that team that we had in 2003 was insane. 2005, insane. Like the team that we had running right through 2009 won the World Series. The team right after 2009 was pretty damn good. We've had some stacked rosters full of all-stars in every position, and it doesn't guarantee anything. So with that in mind, there is no guarantees. I think that this team is so much stronger than it was last year. It's not even true. I mean, Tats in our previous episode, anyone who hasn't watched it, Tats brought up a graphic in the previous episode of the starting lineup as last year as opposed to this year. And it's night and day. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that we had any confidence going into last year at all. We had Josh Donaldson and no left fielder, and the team that we had going into last year is a joke. So it's so much better now. Now you got protection for Judge. You got Soto. It's very exciting. I think we should be really excited about the offense. I certainly am. You know what's really exciting about the offense is there's a nice mix between lefty, righty, and switch. There's a nice mixture there. You've got to get some balance to the lineup. I love it. We're still short in pitching, and I'll say that, and I'll bang that drum every day if you want me to. We are. We absolutely are. We have arms. I'm not saying we don't. And we have decent arms, but we have a whole list of bullpen arms and very few that you can absolutely say with confidence that they're going to be really good. You can speculate and you can hope and you could expect an upgrade in performance, but there's none that you can just sit down and go, right, I'm absolutely very confident that this dude is good. Because we lost King, and he's important. We lost Wandy Peralta. He was important. So we have lost some key arms, and we haven't really replaced them. We've replaced them with guys that you expect Matt Blake can sit down and work his sinker ball magic, and you can get something out of, but none that you can be really, really certain of. And none of us know anything about what we're going to get from Clay Holmes. Like 7 times out of 10, he might be fine. But those 3 times out of 10, it's going to be a disaster. So that's what I'm talking about. So I would say that we have a very, very strong team, very strong playoff team. I'm very excited about it. And if everything rolls our way, you could say that we are a championship caliber team. But am I confident? No. So I would still say no. But it's so much better than last year. It's not even true. So we're going to be a really good team. absolutely no doubt. Rob, I can't be helped but be distracted by some of your reactions. I don't know if it's anything I'm saying or the chat's saying. But
That's
let's turn
LI.
it to Rob.
It's all LI being a troll in the chat as usual. But I think we are a World Series caliber team. I really do. We have Garrett Cole at the top of our rotation. We have a guy that in October, you need two really good starting pitchers to carry you. Look what happened with Texas last year. I believe we have that with Cole and Rodon. I really do. We have two of the best hitters in the entire sport in the middle of our lineup. 2, 3, whatever they're going to be, one batting after the other. I believe we have that. We have a really good offense. Everything's on paper right now. I feel like our bullpen can handle it. We've added several depth arms. I'm excited to see which one of these young starters comes up and gives us some innings, whether it's a Will Warren or a Clayton Beater or Luis Heel or maybe even Gomez. I can't forget about him. I like the arms we have in our system that can come in and help the bullpen. Danny Watson, Edgar Barclay. We picked up De Los Santos. I keep mentioning him. I think we have plenty of guys that can step in and help us out. I think we're a World Series caliber team. Now, can they get better? Absolutely. They absolutely can. If you added Blake Snell today, you are 1,000% better than you were yesterday. I'm not going to say that they wouldn't be. If they can go make a trade, go do it. But I think they are a World Series caliber team. And yeah, I do agree with LI as well. If they got, let's just say they did get Devin Williams. You can't that's World Series caliber. There's no
that changes the narrative. Absolutely.
Right. I do believe right now,
whether it's for the rotation or bullpen, that I will absolutely stamp it down. Yes, we have a World Series caliber team.
I'm going to say though, right now, I think we do. Maybe I'm too confident, but I think we do.
I want to pull up this comment from Oakley here. So I wanted to respond to him, but I wanted us to get finish getting our thoughts out. You go, since you mentioned Stanton, do you think Stanton will be in the field to either give Soto or Judge a defensive day off when Stroman, who's a ground ball pitcher, is on the bump? Actually, I think that is an excellent question. We have the three of us have been in defense of Stanton for a long time. It's my frustration towards him is not because I don't think he can do it. I want to see him do it. He has not been able to stay healthy. This is definitely a way to keep him loose. If you're able to get him on the field, Boone said that was part of the plan, was to get him on the field a little bit, maybe once or twice a week. I think that he's going to follow through with that. We're going to see how it works. I think it'll be a benefit to get him on the field. I'm bringing up, with Stroman, who's a ground ball pitcher. That seems like the perfect avenue to get him some field time.
I agree with that. If Stanton is slimming down, which the pictures we've seen of him so far, he looks a lot thinner. If that helps him not be an absolute stone out there in the outfield, because the poor guy couldn't run last year. And I remember the game that he got hurt, Tats was calling it, and I joined in around the 7th inning. And as he was rounding second, what did I say, Tats? I said, he's hurt.
Why? Yeah.
I said, I think he's hurt. And he got hurt on that exact play. And he wasn't the same. So I think if he is slimmed down and he's able to actually run a little bit out there, putting him in the outfield every, maybe twice, 3 times a week, keeps him fresh, keeps his legs fresh so he doesn't get cramped up or whatever it may be. When a guy like Stroman out there, he might not have to do too much running, and you could put him in right field because I think Judge can handle center for a full season, and I wouldn't mind putting him in left before I'd put Stanton back out there. So if that's the case, then you can give Soto a day just to DH, even though he doesn't really need it. That's the thing. Soto's a guy that can play the entire season and do it all playing right field. He doesn't have to DH, but we know the Yankees like to do that, give guys the day off, but Soto's the guy that I would avoid giving that day off to. He's been a marathon man his entire career. But you can do it, especially with a ground ball pitcher like Stroman, a hopefully ground ball type pitcher like Cortez. You have a couple of guys that can be those ground ball arms in your rotation right now to when they're pitching. It could even be back-to-back days where Stan is playing in right field. So that's actually a fantastic question. I think that's what the Yankees might be planning on doing is when we have the ground ball guy out there, Stanton will play the outfield and they'll give Judge the DH day. And then they'll have to put Grisham in center field and sit Verdugo or something like that. That's the luxury of having a guy like Grisham out there, is you can put him out there to play center and you won't have to move Verdugo out there and you can sit Judge. So I think it really does make sense. And that's why I think Nestor is going to stay in the rotation before moving him to the bullpen.
That's a really good question. And what I would do is use Stroman's starts as an opportunity to go defense oriented, because he is such a ground ball contact guy. You want to have your best defensive guys out there. So for me, I would definitely have Grisham play center field. I would actually move Judge to right, Soto left, probably sit Verdugo in those instances. DH Stanton. I don't think Stanton would play the outfield in any of those games where Stroman's on the mound, because again, the Yankees don't really trust him right now. But I think Grisham is someone that you would seriously consider when Stroman starts, because he's such a good defender, and Aaron Judge can move over to his natural position in right. And I don't see any situation where you'd sit Soto. Maybe you'd give Soto a DH day, maybe, and play Verdugo in left field. But he's not I don't know. I think that you're more likely to see Soto play as much as humanly possible. The guy was a tank last year. And I don't see the Yankees setting him too often. So I'd look for, long story short, I'd definitely give Grisham the nod in center field and these starts. And to echo Rob, it is such a luxury to have him. He's going to be an underrated guy. That's one of my hot takes. Grisham is going to be an underrated member of this Yankee team. Yep. I'm excited about him. I think that he could play center field and starting center field and well over half the teams in the majors easily. And we've got the luxury of having him as a fourth outfielder. The guy has a little bit of pop and he plays excellent defense. And he's athletic. So I think that was a really good move, and not enough people are talking about it. So, and also not enough people are talking about the Verdugo move either. I think Verdugo's a good pickup too, but not the best defender. But while Grisham is a great defender, so I'm more than pretty. I'm very optimistic about our offense. I think our offense is going to be absolutely fire.
Yeah. I want to answer.
Take care, FJ. We'll see you on the next show.
Medina, he DH'd 7 times last year, Soto. So
okay,
they can DH him like maybe once every 2 weeks if they wanted to. But he's a guy that can play the outfield all season. And I think he's better suited in right field. I think he'll be very good in right field. There's very little room out there for him to mess up. That's why I think they made the right call putting him in right instead of left field, because there's so much ground in left field at Yankee Stadium. And I think Judge is the guy that can handle center, and Soto and right, that's where he played his best defense when he was with Washington, right field. So I think he's going to have a really good defensive season, because everyone talks about him being a liability, but I think he can be very good out in right field for us.
Yeah, and the other thing, like a lot of people are saying, they don't trust Judge in center field. You know, it's a lot of ground. You know, his knees, his size. He had his healthiest and most dominant season primarily playing center field. We went over that. That 62 home run season, that was him playing center field. So I'm not buying into this whole, center field albatross.
But for that freak wall in Los Angeles, Judge would have been perfectly healthy last year. There was no muscle issue with him. He broke his foot on a stupid wall that was a threat to people. And that's the Dodgers' responsibility to make sure people are actually freaking safe. But Judge ran through it and then broke his foot. That's not his fault. He was perfectly healthy last year too.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna, even with Stanton, like these guys need to realize. I think with the way that the lineup is, the roster we have for the lineup this year, they're not gonna have to just hit home runs all the time. They're going to be, I think that they're going to be most dangerous hitting into the gap. Yeah, Jason, I'm not moving him from second in the lineup. Absolutely not. I have him second, and Soto is third in the lineup, and I have Rizzo in the.
I actually have the other way around, because Soto is an on-base machine. Like, he gets on base in his sleep. On a bad at bat, he gets on base. So you kind of want that second. He could easily be a 400 OBP guy. So I put him second, Judge third, and I think Judge will be okay with it. But I do agree that his 62 came when he was batting second. But I don't think
He's also batting leadoff that year.
But there's a better chance there'll be more people on base with Judge batting third for him to rack up those RBI numbers. So I have him batting third, and so
Jonathan and I have Rizzo. I would put Rizzo in the 4 spot, but no, until
good point.
Has he been asking to bat third?
Yeah, I think he was talking to Boone about it. Like he was one Soto to bat second and third. But it'll be dependent on matchups. It will be. It'll be dependent on if we're facing a lefty or a right.
Well, that's going to be a factor as well.
And which way around they're going to do it.
But Judge has been with us, so I'm giving him, and he's the captain. So if he wants to, whatever he wants to bat, wherever he wants to, I just let him do it. He knows what his abilities are. He knows the importance of his role on this team. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to be one of those. If Soto won second and he's okay with batting third, he's going to be like, look, whatever helps the team. He's not. Then those two are going to. We think him and Rizzo are besties. Wait until Judge and Soto start playing together. They're going to be inseparable. I think that they're going to have such a bond. It's not even funny.
I actually like what Jason's saying here. I'd put Gleyber fourth. Because Gleyber had such a good season last year. If he's batting after Judge, and then if you have Stanton or Rizzo behind him, Gleyber's going to get so many pitches to see. He could have a and he's in a contract year, so everyone goes off in a contract year. So that's why I think Verdugo's going to have a good season as well, because he's looking to get paid. This lineup can be very deep, very, very deep, and that's what a lot of people are dismissing Verdugo for no reason, because he's exactly what everyone's been asking for. Give me a contact guy that hits doubles. I'm so sick of the strikeouts. The Yankees acquire Alex Verdugo. Oh, why'd you go get a Red Sox? That's what they did.
Because that's what we do. We bitch and moan about everything.
I love the trade. Me and Donald were in agreement, like, go get this guy before he was even a Yankee. And then he became a Yankee, and we both love the trade. And I still love the trade. I think he's going to be really good this year. And it's kind of been forgotten about because I think it was 24 or 48 hours later we got Juan Soto. A lot of people forgetting that we got Verdugo as well. This lineup is so much better. And if Austin Wells is the hitter we think he's going to be, there's more pop. And we can't forget that Anthony Volpe cannot be worse than he was last year, because even if he's another 2020 guy at the bottom of the order, that's going to be fine. I just really want I want him to get on base more, because we know what his speed can do. So this lineup has the potential to be probably the best lineup we've had since maybe 2009. With the depth that we have, because we haven't had a Juan Soto in this lineup in a very long time. So I really like what this offense has the capability of doing. It's all about putting it on the field and staying on the field.
Jason, you got cap locks on, man? Bro, I know we're from New York, but we don't need to yet.
Cap lock is on. He's yelling at us.
Yeah, but he's right. He's right on this. We could have gotten Hader, Soto, Yamamoto, Ohtani. We would still bitch about the bench.
Well, right.
Yeah, and let's go over Mr. Barros's lineup here and see you. LeMahieu, Soto, Judge, Torres, Stanton, Rizzo, Verdugo, Wells. I mean, how much deeper can you get?
I don't like the three lefties one after the other there at the bottom, beside maybe Flip, Volpe, and Wells. But yeah, that's really good. Well, he does have it.
Yep. I mean, make sure Rob approves of the lineup. Yeah.
I just did, NFP.
But the more I'm thinking, I like the Torres in the 4 spot. I think that flipping Torres and Rizzo in the lineup, I think that actually strengthens it.
You can bat Torres anywhere, really. He can bat
Yeah.
sixth. He can bat first. Like that's the kind of bat that he was last year. Anywhere you put him, he was hitting. So ideally, I wouldn't have LeMahieu bat leadoff, but if he's hitting the way that we think he can, or the way he was in the second half last year, he's going to be at the top of the order. But Verdugo can bat first too. Let's not forget about him. So
I like Verdugo or LeMahieu leading off.
Yeah, they have three guys that can be leadoff.
Doesn't mean the same as it did in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore. The 2 or 3 spot is the most important.
Yeah, I mean, as the year goes on, I want to see how Volpe bounces back. I want to see what his improvements are. I want to see Volpe as our leadoff guy. You know, I think he could be that long term, but he's got to have better numbers than not after his batting average from last year. You know, you can't put a 209 hitter in the leadoff spot to start your season. But I think he can build the confidence back up to get into that. See, we're all talking about Rodon with the pitching. We're not talking about how Volpe really needs to up his game at the shortstop position to solidify the defensive parts of the.
He won a Gold Glove.
He was a Gold Glover last year.
He won a Gold Glove.
No, offensive. I'm talking about the 209 average. What did I say? Defense, right?
Yes, defense. What do we have to do here?
I want him to improve on his offensive metrics.
Yeah, look, he was given he was put in a tough spot last year because he was the youngest starter on opening day since Jeter, right? And everyone's comparing him to Jeter. Oh, he has to be good. We passed up on Correa and Seager and all these guys for him. And he had his moments where he was fantastic, and then he had his moments where he was really bad. So to me, it's finding kind of that middle ground with him. If he's a 250 hitter, that's fine in today's game. You know, not like Donald just said, it's not like the 90s where you had a bunch of 300 guys. The amount of 300 hitters in today's game is very low. So if he's like a 250, even a 240 or higher guy, you're going to take that. I want a better on base from him because that means he's going to steal more bags. And if he's stealing more bases, we're going to score more runs. It's that simple. I don't need him to be a 330 guy. Give me a better on base with him. I would like an OPS in the 750s or higher with him because we know he's got pop, and maybe be more of a doubles hitter instead of the home runs. But I don't need a 330 guy in the bottom of the order. And I do agree that Dominguez is more of the, like Jones said, Dominguez is the leadoff hitter long term, in my opinion, because he can do everything. And he showed that last year in such a small sample size. He is the prototypical leadoff hitter in today's game.
Dominguez could be the leadoff guy. I'm not really bringing Dominguez up because he's not starting the season with us. I'll worry about Dominguez when he comes back and he's healthy. I don't want to put any expectations where they feel they have to rush him back.
That's fair.
You know, we have a deep enough lineup, and we already have a very deep outfield. So they pretty much are telling Dominguez, when you're ready, you come back. Your spot is there for you, because it's not like we're going to play Verdugo or Grisham over Dominguez. You know, because one of those guys, depending on how their season's going, when Dominguez is on his, when they know he's coming back, one of those guys has got to go. Because who else are you going to cut? With Volpe, I think that having a healthy lineup and a healthy team around him, like I said, he got thrown into so many unfair situations last year. You know, because we had Volpe over Peraza for shortstop, we demanded him to have a Hall of Fame year his first year as a rookie. I think the expectations for him were a little high, and rightfully so. Especially you're a Yankee prospect. We turned down trades to keep you in our system. We believe me, we want you to have an outstanding year, and he did. Like you guys said, when I made the mistake of saying defense, he had the Gold Glove year. He had 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. That's not something to shy away from. He had bounce. He had a lot of pressure put on him. I think with this type of lineup, and if everybody's staying healthy, he's not going to have that spotlight on him where he's going to be able to get back to his game. I think Volpe is going to have a phenomenal year.
I think Volpe have a better year because there'll be less pressure on him.
Yeah.
Now that we've upgraded the offense considerably and added better balance to the lineup, he will be fine. I would keep him at the bottom third of the order, in my opinion. Keep it there. I'm not sure if he's ready yet to be up at the top. Maybe consider that down the line. Right now, keep him bottom third of the order. He'll give you some pop. Not too worried about his batting average, anything like that. His defense will be there. He'll be fine. If you keep the pressure off him, he'll contribute because we've got such a better balance, and that will help him. And I do hope that the new batting coach will take away this uppercut swing philosophy of swinging through your shoes into the upper decks all the time, because I don't think you're getting the best out of him that way. He does have a tendency of having an uppercut swing anyway, and you don't want him to get out of a rhythm and create a hole in his swing, which he did last year, which luckily Wells fixed, and none of our coaches did. But that's why I think keeping the pressure off him will help him. But we also need our coaches to do their jobs, and they didn't do their jobs last year. None of them did, apart from Matt Blake. He did his job, but everyone else didn't, and that's one of the things that happened. One of my big concerns, one of my big takeaways to us hiring Aaron Boone, is it took away a lot of our baseball people. A lot of our baseball people went with Joe Girardi. Whether you like Joe Girardi or not, he had one hell of a team beside him. One of them being Pena. Pena was a freaking incredible coach, and he should have been considered as manager. Rob Thompson, freaking incredible coach. He should have been considered as manager. But it's all woulda, coulda, shoulda. But those were great baseball people. And you take those baseball people out and you replace them with nerds that sit in a laptop, you can't fix mental issues. You can't fix holes in your swing. And we had all the laptops in the world last year, but none of them could figure out that he actually had a hole in his swing. And it was issues that we could see clearly. It wasn't, we're not blind to it. It was pretty obvious by watching the game. So that's what I'm concerned about, and I'm hoping that these are aspects that are going to be fixed. Because if you want to develop your prospects, they need to be coached well. And Boone's got one part of it covered. He's got the helping hand and the, hey, man, it's all going to be okay kind of a thing. And he can lend his experience, as I'm sure he does, and make him feel comfortable. He's got that down. But the other aspect where you're just sitting down and working with him and trying to get the best out of him and then fixing whatever issues, it's not just Boone, but the rest of the coaching staff, that all needs to be improved on. And I'm expecting that to be done this year. Because if it isn't, then A, we're not going to achieve what we need to achieve, and B, we're going to be looking at a new coaching staff next year. So there's a lot of pressure on a lot of things. This is going to stuff that we're going to be covering once we get closer to spring training, pitchers and catchers, when there's less moves to talk about and more personnel and how we can get the best out of them. And then we can discuss how we get the best out of maybe each guy. We can maybe do a podcast where we cover, the bullpen, cover the middle infield, cover the outfield, whatever. Like, we can maybe separate it that way and go through which areas they can improve on, which ways they can upgrade. Give us your thoughts in the chat. What kind of stuff that you'd like us to really go in a deep dive for you, because that's kind of stuff that we like to do. That's our wheelhouse anyway. So we'll be more than happy to cover those things. But it's a really interesting discussion. The Volpe discussion is very interesting because I'm optimistic that he's going to have a better year, and I think he's going to have a better year without the pressure that he had last year. We deliberately didn't give any competition to him at all for the shortstop position, and we had no balance to our lineup, and we had a bunch of holes in our lineup. We didn't have a left fielder for one, and it put too much pressure on him, and it wasn't fair on him. But now this team is set. It's stacked. It's absolutely stacked to the rafters, our lineup. So he'll he'll be better off that way, and I think you'll see a better Volpe in year 2.
Yep. Rob, your takes on Volpe before we dip out?
No, I think it's 1 year, and he's what is he 20 now, 22 now? So anyone who's given up on the kid already is being stupid. He's got plenty of things to improve on, but also has plenty of time to do it. And now with the deeper lineup, pressure's kind of off of him a little bit, but at the same time, it's still on him because if he's a better hitter, the lineup's better in general. So I want to see that batting average come up a little bit, and I want to see the strikeouts drop. Everything else, and if that happens, everything else will fall in place. That's all he really needs to do is cut out those strikeouts. He was chasing too much. That uppercut swing was hurting him as well, like Donald mentioned. He was going up in the zone for bad pitches. If he can cut down on those strikeouts, that means the average is going to go up, and that on base is going to go up, and he could be a 40 stolen base guy with that speed. So that's what I want to see from him. I don't need him to be a 30 home run guy. Don't need him to be a 25 home. I don't even need him to be a 20 home run guy. I want that average to come up. I want those doubles, those singles, the bunts even. He has to do it because he's got the speed to do it. Draw some walks, get him on base, and he will wreak havoc on the base paths, especially with the giant bases we have now. We saw it playing last year. Hey, just do that, and he'll be fine.
Yep. That's good. We're going to close on that note. Hope everybody did enjoy today's show. I know we enjoyed having you guys with us. For the guys that were watching for the first time, Jimmy Haxwell, Oakley Turner, sorry. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys had a good time. What's going on, JJ? We always say, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the sub button. Share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger around the corner. And as we always say, we have pinstripes of pride and play hard.